Welcome back to WION World is One. You're watching Speed News with me, Vidur Kathuria. Let's get started. The US government has changed the regulations governing the H-1B work visa selection process. The administration has replaced the lottery system with wage and skill-based selection. According to the latest notification, the DHS said the move would better protect the wages, working conditions, and job opportunities for American workers. The US Department of Justice said a document making a crude reference to Trump and purportedly written by convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein to Larry Nassar is fake. Larry Nassar is serving a life sentence for abusing hundreds of girls. The statement Department of Justice came hours after releasing the document to the public. The Supreme Court rejected President Donald Trump's request to allow him to deploy the National Guard to Chicago to protect ICE agents, even as the order comes as a setback for Trump. A statement by a White House spokeswoman said the ruling will not stop Trump's efforts to enforce immigration laws, protect federal personnel, and safeguard the American public. Two people have died and multiple others are injured after an explosion caused a nursing home to partially collapse in Pennsylvania. Emergency crews received reports of a gas odor around 2 p.m. local time on Tuesday. When crews arrived, the building exploded, causing a massive fire, authorities said. The governor was quoted as saying that the exact number of injuries is not yet known and the cause of the blast is under investigation. A Delaware State Police trooper and a suspected shooter were killed after officials say an active shooting incident occurred at a DMV location in Wilmington on Tuesday. The trooper, who has not yet been named, was at the reception desk when the 44-year-old gunman walked in, approached the trooper and fired. State police said the gunman and state trooper were transported to a hospital where they died. The Indian Army has successfully conducted a trial of Akash Next Generation missile system. During this trial, the missile system met all the required service quality standards. According to DRDO, during the trial, Akash NG accurately destroyed aerial targets at various distances and altitudes, this including low-flying targets near the border as well as high-altitude targets at long ranges. The Akash NG system is completely built with indigenous technology and features a domestic RF seeker and a solid rocket motor. The head of Libya's armed forces and 4 other high-ranking military officials died late on Tuesday when their business jet crashed shortly after taking off from Ankara. Al-Haddad was the top military commander in western Libya and played a crucial role in the ongoing efforts to unify Libya's military, which has split, much like Libya's institutions. Amid relentless assault by the Russian army on the front lines, Ukrainian troops have withdrawn from the eastern town of Seversk. Seversk is a town in the heavily embattled Donetsk region and was among the few last strongholds held by Ukraine. Russia had announced the capture of Seversk almost 2 weeks ago. In a statement, Ukraine's general staff said it had withdrawn its troops to preserve their lives, adding that they had inflicted heavy losses on the enemy. While US strikes against alleged drug boats continue, Russia and China have criticized the US tactics at the United Nations, calling it cowboy behavior and intimidation. Venezuela had requested an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council with the backing of Moscow and Beijing. Russia's ambassador to the United Nations said the acts by the US side run counter to all key norms of international law and warned that US could target all unfriendly Latin American states in the future. The Chinese representative said that US actions and rhetoric have led to continued tensions in the region and urged Washington to avoid further escalation. Belgium has formally joined the case launched by South Africa at the International Court of Justice, alleging Israel is committing genocide in the Gaza Strip. In a statement on Tuesday, the ICJ said Belgium had filed a declaration of intervention in the case. Countries including Brazil, Colombia, Ireland, Mexico, Spain, and Turkey have already joined the proceedings. In Australia, the New South Wales Parliament has approved stringent laws to crack down on guns and has given authorities the power to ban protests for up to 3 months. This comes days after Australia witnessed its deadliest mass shooting in decades. 15 people were killed after gunmen opened fire at Sydney's Bondi Beach on December 14th. The new rules cap firearm ownership at 4 guns per person with a limit of 10 for primary producers like farmers. It also shortens license renewals to every 2 years and a ban on high-capacity belt-fed magazines. Beyond gun control, the legislation also gives sweeping power to the police commissioner to ban public protests for up to 3 months following a terror incident. Canadian law enforcement has issued a countrywide warrant for the arrest of a suspect believed to be involved in the murder of a 30-year-old Indo-Canadian woman in Toronto. The warrant has issued for 32-year-old Abdul Ghafoori, who is wanted on the charge of first-degree murder. That charge can attract a life sentence without parole if the prosecution can prove premeditation and intent. Police considers the case to be an instance of intimate partner violence. Chilean President-elect Jose Antonio Cast and Ecuador's President Daniel Noboa held a meeting in Quito. Among the issues that likely dominated the talks include migration, security and trade. CAST has campaigned on promises to deport mostly Venezuelan irregular migrants, tackle crime and secure the northern border. Miners clashed with police during riots on the second day of demonstrations in Bolivia. The demonstrations have been rampant over the past few days over the fuel price increase announced by Rodrigo Paz's government. French lawmakers passed last-minute legislation to keep the government in business onto January after the divided legislature failed to agree on a full budget for the coming year. The legislation was passed by the lower house of parliament earlier on Tuesday before being passed by the Senate on Tuesday evening. Ukrainian families who took in displaced children during the war gathered together in Kyiv on Tuesday for a Christmas celebration dinner. The event, organized by a foundation, brought together at least 55 families for an evening of festivities and performance. ServiceNow, a cloud-based AI platform, has agreed to buy cybersecurity startup Armis for $7.75 billion in cash as the company looks to attract new customers amid growing risks of cyber attacks. The company aims to integrate Armis's security features such as device scanning, threat detection and vulnerability prioritization to its AI-powered platform. This is a crucial advantage amid increasingly sophisticated cyber attacks that have hit companies ranging from Microsoft to United Health Group. Amazon's self-driving unit Zoox is recalling 332 vehicles in the United States due to a software error in its automated driving systems that could create dangerous road situations. The U.S. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, or NHTSA, announced on Tuesday that the software issue may cause the affected vehicles to cross or stop in front of oncoming traffic, significantly increasing the risk of crashes. The recall affects Zoox autonomous vehicles currently operating on U.S. roads. The NHTSA did not provide details about any accidents or injuries related to the software error. Asian shares edged higher on Wednesday, rounding off a powerful year fueled by artificial intelligence optimism. Regional markets followed Wall Street's lead after the S&P 500 closed at a record, finally delivering a Santa Claus rally. Stronger than expected U.S. third quarter growth lifted risk appetite even as bond markets softened. MSCI's Asia Pacific Index outside Japan rose 0.3%, with Japan's Nikkei gaining 0.4%. and posting a 26% annual rise. South Korea led the region, surging 72% this year. Features in Europe and the US were little changed amid thin holiday trading. Gold and silver surged again in early Asian trading, extending a historic rally into year-end. Spot gold climbed 0.8% to a fresh all-time high of $4,524 an ounce, taking its gain for the year to 72%. Silver outperformed, jumping 1.2% to a record $72.27 an ounce and heading for an annual rise of nearly 150%, its strongest performance on record. Oil prices were steady in early Asian trade, but crude is still on track for a third consecutive year of losses. Crude hovered near $62.41 a barrel, even after modest gains this week, driven by strong U.S. economic growth and rising geopolitical risks. Robust U.S. third-quarter GDP growth supported sentiment, while concerns over supply disruptions from Venezuela and ongoing attacks on energy infrastructure linked to Russia and Ukraine added support. However, ample inventories and weak year-long demand trends kept gains in check, leaving oil sharply lower for the year despite the late bounce. The US has delayed the announcement of new tariffs on Chinese semiconductor imports until June 2027, despite accusing Beijing of unfairly pursuing dominance in the chip industry. The move follows a year-long investigation into China's exports of older technology chips and keeps the option open for future duties, with rates to be announced at least 30 days in advance. The delay is seen as an effort to ease tensions with Beijing amid negotiations over rare earth exports and technology restrictions. China has strongly opposed the plan, warning that politicizing trade and technology could disrupt global supply chains. The decision comes as the chip industry awaits the outcome of broader US tariff probes. In sports, Arsenal defeated Crystal Palace in a shootout to reach the semi-finals of the EFL Cup in a game packed with late drama. Arsenal went 1-0 up in the 80th minute from an own goal by Maxence Lacroix. But Palace equalised in injury time. The penalty shootout finished 8-7. Lacroix's penalty, the only one missed for either side, as the Eagles bowed out of the competition. The Gunners will now face London rivals Chelsea over two legs for a place in the final.